I'm almost unique among economists of some reputation of practically never having been tied up in government work. And I think it has done me a lot of good. Government work corrupts.
Every second of every day, the hard-earned money of the world's citizens is devalued by government policies and money printing. They're making prices rise when they should be falling and making it more difficult than ever for people to plan and save for the future. Nobel Prize winner F.A. Hayek rightly blamed governments for the inflation of the 1970s. In his short book, The Denationalization of Money, he offers a novel proposal. How are Hayek's ideas relevant today? Look no further than Bitcoin and the separation of money and state revolution.
That one of the greatest misfortunes could happen in the field of economics if people ever cease to believe in the quantity theory of money, except that should ever come to take it literally.
In fact, you're really arguing that monetarism is an example of the more general error of thinking that you can know too much, you can know all of the facts of some economic problem.
Oh yes, you can put it this way, that the aggregates or sums, averages, which statistics offer you are no substitute for the detailed knowledge of every single price and their relations to each other, which really guide economic activity. That's a mistaken attempt to overcome our limited knowledge.
But there doesn't seem to be any great difference between you on policy.
No, well, if you look, forget about money for the moment, we completely agree. We agree in free markets, we may not entirely agree which form of monetary system is most favorable to an efficient market operation of the market.
Because you would prefer to have competing money, so that...
Oh, I'm absolutely convinced that no government is capable of, politically or intellectually, of providing exactly the amount of money which is needed for smooth economic development. And I should be all in favor. In fact, I'm convinced that we shall never have decent money again before we take from government the monopoly of issuing money and allow competing institutions, of course under different names, not issue the same money, but competing monies, and let people decide which kind of money they prefer to use.
Born in 1899 in Vienna, F.A. Hayek is a legend of sorts in voluntarist, libertarian, and free market economic circles. Hayek declares that the only way to return to sound money is to take it out of the hands of government. He goes on to describe in spine-chillingly fortuitous fashion a money that requires no permission and no central authority. Hayek was a key thinker and innovator of the Austrian School of Economics. The Austrian system is a classic economic model in which government interference in the free market is undesired and viewed as harmful and illogical. The conflicting viewpoint and economic model which holds sway today is that of the Keynesian system, that governments must be actively involved in economies via centralized regulation and force-backed implementation of monetary policy.
For most purposes, you have practically no choice but to use the established currency. I think that has to change, and I doubt even whether present governments would not effectively suppress at once any development in that direction. They are very keen on preserving their monopoly because, of course, their ability to pursue something like monetary policy depends on this monopoly. Abolishing the government monopoly of the issuing money would deprive governments of the possibility of pursuing monetary policy. That's what I want to say.
Yes.
But most people believe monetary policy is an essential tool of government.
Cuckbucks or dollars are Keynesian manifestations that impoverish and lead to destruction, both foreign and domestic.
Driven by terror to near insanity.
While the view of almost all modern nation-states is that interest rates must be set via policy, this would in fact be defined as a form of policing and intervention. Adherents to the Austrian school view the market as an organic entity, functioning by its own natural rules. Boom and bust cycles in business and things like stock market crashes are natural consequence of artificially instituted credit bubbles. Though Keynesian policy currently holds sway, many take issue with the fact that prescribed government interference and assistance seems so often to take the form of disruptive market corrections. Hayek viewed economic cycles as signals that an organic adjustment was in progress. Much like a headache can signal dehydration or stress, decreased demand and less spending signal hesitance on the part of market actors and call to readjust and recalibrate according to fresh, real-time market signals. As witnessed in 2008 with the mega bank bailouts, this Austrian bitter pill is not really allowed to function. Instead, Keynesian economists create more credit and debt which taxpayers must ultimately hold to save all the bad actors and institutions that would have otherwise failed.
I wonder if we could talk for a minute about how money evolved without the help of governments, and in present times it seems very much the hindrance of money from government interference. Carl Menger talked about the evolution of money as a sort of a natural phenomenon. How did money come about, and what's happened today to mess up things so much?
See, the great trouble is the money wasn't allowed to develop further. After 200 or 300 years of coins, all governments put their hands and stopped any further developments. They were not allowed to experiment on it. Money hasn't been improved. Money has rather become worse in the course of time, because unlike, say, you refer to Menger, and it's quite true that Menger, and before him Hume and Mandeville, made law, language, money, the three paradigms of spontaneously grown institutions. Now, fortunately, law and language have been allowed to develop. Money has originated in original form, but as soon as it was there in its most primitive form, it was frozen. Government said it must not develop any further. And what we have had since in development were matters of government inventions, mostly wrong, mostly abuses of money. And I have come to the position of asking, has monetary policy ever done any good? I don't think it has. I think it has done only harm. And that's why I am now pleading for what I've called denationalization of money.
The predictions of Hayek and the Austrian economists stand in stark contrast to Keynesians. A primary advocate of classical liberalism, Hayek believed it was markets, not states, that guaranteed individual liberty. For Hayek, liberty is, quote, a policy which deliberately adopts competition, markets, and prices as its ordering principles. Furthering this idea in his highly renowned The Road to Serfdom, he argued Germany and the Soviet Union's mistakes were in their state planning because it interfered in the natural operation of markets, disrupted liberty, and set society down a one-way street towards slavery. Many modern Austrians and free market advocates argue Bitcoin is the antithesis of state bureaucracy by breaking its monopoly on the volume of money in circulation as well as on credit and interest rates. Anyone, anywhere in the world can now securely open a Bitcoin account from their phone, offering the potential to spread a free and open monetary system like never before. What is more, the market-driven price of Bitcoin aligns with Hayek's vision, where the free market acts as a constant referendum on the value of goods and services within an economy. In other words, the market represents a form of collective agreement voluntarily made amongst all the people operating within it. The principles underpinning Bitcoin's design also align with Hayek's proposal of establishing a decentralized currency or privately issued money, explored in his revolutionary work, The Denationalization of Money. For Hayek, established currency systems lead to social inequality as the government monopoly on them prevents the discovery of a better method of fulfilling the market's needs. Since there is no single point of failure or control of the underlying system, Bitcoin contains robust defense against external manipulation, geopolitical influence, or censorship. The collectively distributed, decentralized, maintained Bitcoin ledger includes a snapshot of which transactions have been approved by the community and consequently provides an indication of how much Bitcoin is is owned by each account, which in turn belongs to end users. Users are prudently paid for keeping and maintaining this ledger by mining blocks. Bitcoin therefore represents the real-world implementation of Hayek's thesis for monetary systems.
President Reagan had a commission study the deficit problem, government debt problem, the Grace Commission it was called, and they came up with some pretty shocking predictions that the deficit could grow to $300, $400, $500 billion, and even toward the end of the century over $1 trillion. What impact would this have on the U.S. dollar in foreign exchange markets and vis-a-vis other real, not other, but real goods and services? Down, down dramatically. Yeah. Well, all the more need for your sound monetary reform.
I don't believe that we shall ever have a good money again before we take the thing out of the hands of government, because we can't take them violently out of the hands of government. All we can do is, by some sly roundabout way, introduce something they can't stop.
In Austrian economics being made actionable by Bitcoin. As Budion said, Bitcoin proves Austrian theory.
We could argue, as Ron Paul has been arguing, and the Austrians, Bob Murphy and Lou Rockwell, and those people, they've been arguing till they're blue in the face that Keynesianism is fundamentally wrong and Austrianism is actually correct. So now with Bitcoin, we don't have to argue about this anymore. All we have to do is deploy it into the economy and watch Austrianism be proven to be true. That's what Bitcoin is actually for when it comes to the economic, the theory part of it. So that's all that has to be done. We can now prove that Austrianism is correct simply by releasing wallets into the world to billions of people. And once that happens and people prefer sound money to unsound money, which is fiat, then the case for Austrianism will be made true.
As the peaceful revolution spreads along with the sound money gospel, Bitcoin will continue to be the fork in the road towards liberty, leaving the road to serfdom and the status that built it behind to drown in their own tears.
Oh, no, no.
Thanks for hanging out. Be sure to like, subscribe, share us, give us a pump, and tune in to Simply Bitcoin Live every Monday through Friday at 12:15 Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget to subscribe to Simply Bitcoin Unfiltered for the Simply Bitcoin signal in its written form. Do it for the culture. Can get those down in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, peace.